do the same sort of work, but I usually find time to surf the net for 5 or 10 minutes. It breaks the routine of the day. I often have to key in data. It's a bit boring, but it's part of the job. At 5 o'clock, I fill in a timesheet, and that's a typical day.
How many options did you take? Did you select? How many texts did you write? 6, 8. Okay, so let's listen again. 9. Let us listen.
Unit 1. Listening. I arrive at the office at about 8:30 and make a coffee, then go into my regular morning meeting with my team and manager. It's only a short meeting, but we get a briefing for the day's work and we discuss any problems or issues that may be coming up. Then I go to my desk and I check my emails. They come in overnight because we have offices all over the world. Then I make phone calls and send emails to get the information I need to answer any queries. I work at my desk most of the day. I speak to customers a lot on the phone, and I quite like that. I like helping them and giving information. I also make phone calls to the warehouse and to our sales departments around the world. I talk to lots of people that I've never met. I get a bit tired at my desk, so I like getting up to send faxes. It's a bit of exercise, and I often have a chat and a gossip with my colleagues at the copy machine. In the afternoon, I do the same sort of work, but I usually find time to surf the net for 5 or 10 minutes. It breaks the routine of the day. I often have to key in data. It's a bit boring, but it's part of the job. At 5 o'clock, I fill in a timesheet, and that's a typical day.
Okay, so would you like to check to compare your answers with your partner or in your groups? Please compare if you have the same information. Compare with them. Compare, yes, contrast. You have the same. Okay. Do you have similar or different answers? Similar or different? Similar. Okay, so I will stop. We are going to listen to the recording again, and I will stop after each part, okay, so that you can correct.
Unit 1. Listening. I arrive at the office at about 8:30 and...
What time does she arrive in the office? What time does she arrive in the office? What time?
I arrive at the office at about 8:30 and...
At 8:30? Does she say past? Can you hear past? Can you hear 8:30? Okay, listen again, listen.
The office at about 8:30 and...
8:30. And what about past? Look, 8:30 is 8:30. Okay, but the thing is that, do you know how to tell the time in English? you have to use to and past. But for example, if you say quarter, you can at some point you can say quarter to or quarter past. If you say, I don't know, 5, you can have 5 to or 5 past. But if you say half, can you say half to, or is it only half past? With half, it's always past. So in colloquial English, you don't need to say past. You can say, well, every morning I get up at 7:30. 7:30 means half past 7. Past is not necessary because it's obvious, but half is half past. There is no ambiguity. If you say quarter, you have to say quarter past or quarter to, because otherwise it's ambiguous. But with half, it's always very clear. So, but this is only in colloquial, like spoken English, not in formal English.
Unit 1. Listening. I arrive at the office at about 8:30 and make a coffee. Then,
So, okay, make coffee. Remember that in English, the way to select things is with a tick, not with a cross. In English, this means okay. This means bad. It's like in the negative. So you're marking in the negative. Okay? So it's like this. It's like this. It's a typical mistake.
go into my regular morning meeting with my team and manager. It's only a short meeting, but we get a briefing for the day's work and
So that's not good. So make coffee, have meetings, a briefing. Do you know what a briefing? A briefing is a kind of preparatory meeting, preparation meeting.
we discuss any problems or issues that may be coming up. Then I go to my desk and I check my emails. They come in overnight because we have offices all over the world.
Any other option? Well, we have not heard send emails. Check email. So you look at your email.
Then I make phone calls and send emails to get the information.
And now send emails. Okay, so make coffee, then have meetings, send emails.
I need to answer any queries. I work at my desk most of the day. I speak to customers a lot on the phone. And
Speak to customers in person. Speak to customers in person. On the phone. On the phone. On the line. On the telephone line.
I quite like that. I like helping them and giving information. I also make phone calls to the warehouse and to our sales departments around the world.
Sorry. So what is the destination of her phone calls? So she calls the rest of the offices in the world, the rest of the international offices, and what else? Listen to that part again.
I also make phone calls to the warehouse and...
So I also make phone calls to the... Yes? The warehouse. What is a warehouse? Warehouse. The warehouse? You know, warehouse? For example, it's a kind of, it's not a factory, but it's a store. It's a big store. For example, in an industrial estate, there are warehouses, like big stores, to store all the products, the items of a shop. The warehouse. This is a warehouse. No? El almacén, the warehouse. You can also say store, okay, but sometimes store. A warehouse is a big place, like a big plant. Store can be big or small. For example, in your house, you can have a little store. or for the cleaning store. Un almacén así para cuartito, that's a store as well. Okay, yes. So warehouse. For example, do you know this very important telephone house, the telephone shop, which is called the Phone House? Do you know that company? The Phone House? The Phone House, I mean, is it a Spanish company or a foreign company? Is the Phone House a business from Spain, a national or international business? International. It's an international business. Have you ever been abroad? Have you ever seen this type of shop in another country? Have you been to Ireland or I don't know, England? Have you seen this shop in those places? Yes. Where? Okay, yes. But I mean internationally. Internationally, no. But you have in London. And is the name of the shop the Phone House? It's not. The Phone House is the name under which they operate in Spain. In Spain, they operate as the Phone House. But in other places, well, originally, look, they operate as the car phone warehouse. Okay, for example, this one. Or this one. The car phone warehouse. The Phone House is just the Spanish adaptation. It's not a translation, really. Is because here in Spain, in the Spanish markets, if you name the shop the car phone warehouse, nobody will understand. Okay, but the Phone House, you don't need to speak English to know the meaning of phone and to know the meaning of house. You see what I mean? O sea que en el mercado español, aunque sea de Phone House, pero todo el mundo lo entiende. Ahora, como le pongan ese nombre, entonces no lo entiende nadie. The car phone warehouse. So, warehouse is almacén. And what's the meaning of car phone? What is the origin of mobile phone of mobile phones? Car phones. Originally, they were car phones with a kind of telephone case or suitcase. Como yo recuerdo un tío mío que tenía un móvil, pero era en el coche, era como un maletín, lo tenía integrado en el coche y tenía que subirse a la montaña para poder hablar. Cuando estábamos en el campo, que éramos pequeños, estábamos en el cortijo, yo soy de Andalucía, estábamos en el cortijo y él a lo mejor tenía que hacer una... Bueno, nunca llamaba, pero bueno, era solo como por si se perdía o algo así, pues... Entonces, so the origin of mobile phones are car phones, okay? So the car phone warehouse in Spain is just the phone house, la casa del teléfono, pero en inglés es el almacén, bueno, como del teléfono portátil o del automóvil, something like that. Okay, so it's a kind of adaptation. Es como la adaptación que le han puesto para el mercado en España. You know that some companies have like two. This, for example, Coca-Cola. How do you say Coca-Cola in English? Okay, soda is general. Soda is a soft drink, refresco. Okay, soda. You can have Pepsi or Fanta or Coca-Cola or Schweppes or Sprite, 7-Up. These are all called soda. Sodas in American English, soft drink in British. Soda or soft drink. This is British English, okay? And this is US English, American English. But then the brand I mean the trademark. So some people say Coke. Really, internationally, the real name of the company is Coca-Cola. However, in the English-speaking market, they operate as Coke. You see what I mean? El nombre de la empresa es Coca-Cola, pero en el mercado de habla inglesa operan bajo Coke. Lo que no quiere decir que no se puede decir Coca-Cola, sí. Es que el nombre de la empresa no es Coke, es Coca-Cola. It's like, I mean, if you buy Coke, you have the Coca-Cola company, like this, the logo or something. This one. So the real name is Coca-Cola. It's not Coke. It's similar to the phone house. The real name of the company is the car phone warehouse, but in Spain, we know it as the phone house. For Coca-Cola, the international name is Coca-Cola, but if you go to America, if you go to England, it's not called Coca-Cola, but Coke, because it's shorter. Do you, I mean, you know more than me. So I think sabes más de eso que yo. That's more like marketing and a marketing strategy. So, but anyway. Okay, so the warehouse is like the store.
Our sales departments around the world. I talk to lots of people that I've never met. I get a bit tired at my desk, so I like getting up to send faxes.
So, send faxes is like doing exercise.
It's a bit of exercise, and I often have a chat and a gossip with my colleagues at the coffee.
So I often have a chat, like a small conversation, and gossip with my colleagues.
Machine. In the afternoon, I do the same sort of work, but I usually find time to surf the net for 5 or 10 minutes. It breaks the routine of the day. I often have to key in data. It's a bit boring, but it's part of the job. At 5 o'clock, I fill in a timesheet, and that's a typical day.
Okay, so what is a timesheet really? What is a timesheet? Because look, it's at the end of the day, she completes the timesheet. Look, this is a timesheet. Let's see if there's a picture of that. Well, more or less. So, for example, this is a timesheet, or this is a timesheet, and you say, okay, well, yes, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. So it's like you're planning, but at the end of the day, you check what you have completed. And what you have not completed is like, for example, I have to speak to that customer, to that company. Okay, I haven't been able to reach anybody today. Let's see tomorrow. So it's like, in a way, yes. Yes and no. More or less. Es tu horario, pero al final, las tareas que has completado, como marcar lo que has completado y lo que no, pues queda pendiente para el día siguiente. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Okay. Because how do you say horario in English? It's a timetable. Timetable, okay. And then the timesheet is when you complete it. Any questions? Was the vocabulary difficult, especially difficult, or new? No? Okay, so now, let's go now to this one, okay? Number 12 in page number 6. Number 12 in page number 6. This is related to something which is very important that you have to know. Especially, for the exam, you need to memorize, you need to know, to learn these prepositional verbs and phrasal verbs. Especially everything, but in a more particular way, responsible for and responsible to, the difference between those two, okay? Because it's like the category. For example, look at this company diagram. Remember, can you make a sentence with responsible for and another sentence with responsible to? Think of a sentence. Look at these parts. Like these parts. Responsible for, you can say. Richard, the hotel manager, is responsible for the reception manager, the housekeeper, and the head chef. Which means that the head chef, the housekeeper, and the reception manager are responsible to the hotel manager. So when you speak in that direction, that's for. Responsible for in this direction is responsible to. Okay? Because these people have to respond to the managers. Es como que tienen que dar cuentas, respond, report. Okay? So let us do number 12 now. Complete with a preposition, only if necessary. So I'm going to give you about 3 or 4 minutes. 3 or 4 minutes, and you can complete, okay, with the necessary prepositions. Try not to look at the material now, okay? Just try to think yourselves. Intenten hacerlo sin mirar el temario. Luego ya lo contrastamos. But first, only thinking. Remember to look carefully at the instructions. It's like complete with a preposition only if necessary. So sometimes we don't need a preposition. Have you finished? Yes. Okay, so let's read one each. Jimena, would you like to read number one?
I had four
I had
for the marketing department.
Nartec, Nartec Communications. I had four. Do you agree? No, it's nothing. I had the marketing department. To head for means to be traveling. For example, you say, well, tomorrow I'm heading for Italy. I'm heading means I'm traveling to Italy. I'm in that direction. I'm going that direction. Like I'm setting off. Parto. Yo parto para Italia. Head to head up for. But this is head, not in the sense of travel. What is the meaning of head here? What? What is a synonym for head here? As verb. Head is a part of the body, okay? But here is a verb. I head the marketing department. I manage. I am the boss. I'm responsible for. I supervise. I direct. Yes. I'm the manager, really. Okay. I'm the manager of the marketing department. It's like estoy a la cabeza o encabezo el departamento de marketing. So it's like I direct, really. Dirijo. What about number two, Mercedes?
I report directly to Mr. Baker himself.
Perfect. I report directly to Mr. Bacon himself. Himself is emphatic, okay? It's like I report directly. How can you translate it into Spanish? Yeah. No, que no me gusta decir eso de reportar, pero bueno, es como que informo o me comunico directamente con el mismísimo señor Baker, okay? To Mr. Baker himself. Okay, so Juan, number three.
I look for a department about
30 people. I look for is to try to find. Imagine that you say, where's my dictionary? Where's my book? Where's my tire? Where's my watch? I'm looking for it. To look for is to try to find. Buscar. I look after is to be responsible for. To take care of. I look after. To look after a baby, for example. But this is more figurative, it's not literal. To look after a department is like I supervise, I am under control, okay, of this department. What about number four, Solandi? For ideal. Ideal, we need a preposition. We need a preposition here. Ideal with. I deal with all the major aspects of the company's marketing strategies. I deal with trato o gestiono, okay, all the major aspects of the company's marketing strategies. Emilia, 5.
Listen carefully to what your customers say.
Our customers say. I listen carefully to what our customers say. It's like, listen to me. This is easy, okay? This is listen in the sense of I pay attention. I give service to my customers. I handle, Faina?
I handle one of the four of the major
accounts. Okay. I handle, no preposition, handle nothing. I handle One or two of the major accounts. Handle, manejar. I'm working, Esther.
Working, nothing, I think.
We need a preposition here. When you mention a project, what preposition do we use? I work in. I work in a very important account at the moment. I'm working in a project to work in. And then number 8, we carry service regularly. We carry, to carry means to transport, but not here, because here is not carry, it's carry with a preposition. To carry, do you know what are market surveys? Market surveys? What is a survey? For example, market research. Market research. It's like questionnaires for customers. What is a survey? Encuesta, sondeo. Sondeo de mercado, encuesta de mercado, like market research, really, investigación de mercado. So we carry out market service surveys. To carry out, llevar a cabo, conducir as well. Llevamos a cabo o conducimos encuestas de mercado con habitualidad, habitualmente. And finally, I'm also involved, what preposition here? In one or two Mr. Morgan projects. Okay. If you have had problems with this, what you have to do is to look at, again, at the material, at the PDF, and at the booklet, and you have to go to page number 12, I think, or yes, page number 12. Here you've got the full list. Well, doesn't matter. You've got the full list of verbs: carry out, deal with, report to, work in, look after, handle with nothing. Okay, well, head is not here, but you can write it, you can add it if you like, okay? Head. Well, head will be not in the exam. No, but I head in the exam, but anyway. So you have the whole list, okay? So if you have had problems with the activity, you can go back to this material. Okay? Any questions about Unit 2? No? So we are going to start with the third point, the third block, which is Unit 3. Have you had time to look at the material there? No? Okay. Here are the activities. We are going to work on the activities to activate the language. Look. These are the activities from Unit 3. Unit 3 is called Commercial Transactions. At home, you can look at the PDF, especially for next week. Today I want to concentrate on the activities. But here you've got like typical everyday commercial transactions in different places. For example, look. Typical commercial transactions, you have commercial transactions in a hotel, a commercial transaction in a shop, and commercial transactions in banks, more operations like commercial operations, like more important operations. Then we also have, this is vocabulary, okay, this part is more like the language vocabulary, and this is more grammar, okay? So we are going to look at the activities which are here in Unit 3, actividades. You've got class exercises the 2nd of February, which is today. So can you please open the file, the documents? Okay. Perfect. Yes. So we are going to start the activities here. Yes. PDF. Try again. Perhaps because it takes time really to process. Yes, it's because it's a heavy file. Because it's kind of long. Creo que es un PDF un poco largo. Bueno, tiene 14 páginas, bueno, tampoco es tan largo, o 11, bueno. But it has pictures and it takes time. Okay, because of the pictures, all these pictures, it takes more time. So we are going to have a look at this number one, which is, I mean, when you travel, do you go to hotels normally? Do you know the vocabulary of hotels in English? No? Okay. So, for example, we are going to do this activity, which is meal plans in a hotel. How do you call these plans in English? When you go to a hotel, you can book a room and you can choose different plans for food, okay? Meal plans. For example, you can have accommodation and the morning meal, or only accommodation, or dinner, accommodation, and breakfast. What are the names in English for those plans? Okay. For example, in A you've got accommodation. What is the name of accommodation? Accommodation. It's like bed. Okay. Accommodation, alojamiento. Plus morning meal. You've got different meals in a day. What are the meals of the day? Meals. Breakfast. Lunch, dinner, something else. Brunch is a combination of breakfast and lunch. For example, on Sundays you get up late. It's very late for breakfast, but it's early for lunch. So you've got brunch, which is very popular today. Brunch. What else? Breakfast, yes. But for example, in the morning you have breakfast, then at midday you have lunch. Then what do English people have at 5? 5 or 4? Tea. Tea. Tea, okay. So for example, tea is more or less merienda, more or less, okay. So for example, you can say, te invito a una merienda a mi casa, a una merendona. So, okay, let's do a tea party at home, a tea party. Una fiesta del té, como una merendona, tea party, or a coffee party. So, you can have tea, que todo el mundo dice a las 5 de la tarde el té, no muy tarde, pero bueno. Normally tea, because if you eat lunch, en Inglaterra, por ejemplo, si te tomas el almuerzo a las 12, no vas a esperar a las 5 de la tarde tomando el té. Te lo tomas a las 3. O así, como aquí que tomas un café.
Entonces, ¿por qué cantamos a las 5?
I think it's like conventional. El té de las 5, el té de las 5. Bueno, si no es como. Y tú vas, por ejemplo, por ahí y te puedes tomar té a cualquier. Really, tea is drunk at any time of the day. En Inglaterra, no sé cómo cualquier café, o tomar el café a cualquier hora. Yo tomo por la noche también, de cena y tal. Pero en Inglaterra lo que se toma café, sí, pero se toma mucho té y a cualquier hora. No tiene por qué ser a las 5. Puede ser por la mañana, o puede ser por la tarde, o cuando invitas a alguien a tu casa, pues té. But normally tea at 5 is a little bit late. Entonces se lo toma a lo mejor a las 3 o a las 4. Porque ya la cena, si te ponen la cena a las 6, no te vas a tomar el té a las 5. Entonces es como un poco Hay que desmitificar todos esos horarios, ¿no?
Y después de las 6 nos tomamos
Yes.
el té otra.
No. Supper. Supper. Have you heard the word supper? Yes. Supper. Look. Supper. Have you heard this word before? Supper. Look. Normally you have breakfast, then you have lunch, then you can have tea, then you have dinner, and then you have supper. If you look this up in the dictionary, it says cena. Si dibujas en el diccionario supper, te pone cena. But it's not really. Cena is dinner, okay? Which is a full dinner, perhaps at 6 or 7. 6 or 7 in the evening, it's dinner. A las 6, a las 7 más o menos, puede ser la cena. And then, before you go to bed, you can have, I don't know, some biscuits or milk or a little sandwich. This is supper. It's normally something cold. It's a cold snack that you eat before going to bed. That's supper. Supper. For example, sometimes in hotels, you have, imagine that you're traveling, imagine that you're flying to New York, okay? And then you arrive at your hotel at 10 p.m. At 10 in the evening. You don't have dinner, really. Perhaps the hotel offers you a light supper, como una cena, pero más que cena es como tentempié ligero, antes de irte a dormir. Supper, okay? O sea, no es exactamente lo mismo dinner que supper, aunque buscando el diccionario te va a poner cena. Por ejemplo, de hecho, no sé, there is in the Bible, you have la última cena, or the painting from, who painted, ¿quién pintó la última cena? I can't remember now. It's in Italy, okay? The Last Supper, se llama, no se dice the last dinner, sino the Last Supper. Oh, well, more or less. Okay. So, what we have here is, in A, when we have, in a hotel, when we have accommodation and morning meal, this is called bed and breakfast. Bed and breakfast. Okay? So, this is bed and breakfast. Normally, sometimes called B&B. But what is a B&B? Because B&B, bed and breakfast, can be a meal plan, but it can also be a place to stay, a type of accommodation, an accommodation choice. Sorry. For example, if you go to, when you travel, where do you normally stay? When you travel, where do you normally stay? What do you book? Do you book a hotel? Do you go to a family's house? Do you go to your family's house? Do you go to a country house? When you travel, when you go on holiday, what type of accommodation do you use? Do you reserve? Okay? But the thing is, we have to think in a double way. Bed and breakfast is one thing. Bed and breakfast has two meanings. Okay, let me explain this meaning and then we can speak about the second part. So this is bed and breakfast. Then when we have accommodation, how do you call this in English? You can say normally room only, okay? Room only, room only. Vas a reservar un hotel y te pone S.A. Solo alojamiento. Ah, que no viene ya incluido el desayuno. Ah, pues no. Solo alojamiento. Te reportamos. That's in Spanish. Room only, room only. Have you ever been to a hotel with no breakfast? Yes. It's very typical today. Don't know why. de toda la vida, cuando te ibas a un hotel o algo, te ponían el desayuno. Y ahora la moda es como que el desayuno muchas veces ya te lo han quitado. Hay que pagarlo aparte. Sí. In many places, like, for example, in England, normalmente en Inglaterra se lo suelen poner, pero en otros sitios, yo qué sé. The last time in Italy, for example, the last time I went to Italy, no breakfast. Or if you want to have breakfast, eat like extra. Also, I remember una vez que fui a Granada, también me quedé en un hotel, nada, el desayuno estaba incluido. So it's like things are changing, so that's remote. Then we have this evening meal. What is the evening meal? Dinner, room, morning meal, which means breakfast, midday meal, that's lunch, snacks and drinks. This is when you go to a hotel in the south or in Cuba or in Mexico that you don't have to pay for anything. You've got a little bracelet, okay, and everything is included. So this in English is called all inclusive or all in. All in, like all in the package, todo dentro. All inclusive. But not all included. No se dice all included, sino all inclusive. All inclusive. Sorry? All in, yes, all in, all in. Que te lo juegas todo, ¿no? Okay. All in. Then, dinner, accommodation, and breakfast, what's that? How do you say that in English? Media. Media. Half. Okay. And then board. Half board. Half board. Half board. Board really means, la palabra board significa algo como manutención. For example, many people, especially rich people, go to boarding schools. Some people send their children to a boarding school, or internado, boarding school, una escuela boarding donde te da la manutención también. So boards is that, okay? Bueno, ¿cómo se dice? Media pensión. Pensión en español significa pensión es que te alojas y te dan de comer, es lo mismo, boards, okay? And then dinner, bed, breakfast, and lunch with no drinks, normally. That's called full board. Full board. What is the meaning of full board? Okay. And what is the difference between all-inclusive and full board? Normally drinks and snacks. In full board, sometimes you've got you can drink water or wine in some places. Water or wine. Full boards, maybe I mentioned. Sometimes you have like full board plus or full board premium. Pensión completa plus, pensión completa premium. Son como expansión, ampliaciones de full boards. But anyway. So, the thing is, what I wanted to say before is, bed and breakfast, in the context of this, bed and breakfast contrasts with bed and breakfast, so room only, bed and breakfast, half board, full board, all inclusive. Okay, that's like meal plan. This is called the meal plans, okay? Plans, regímenes de comida. Meal plans. But then bed and breakfast is something different. Let's look at photos. For example, this type of thing. this, okay? This typical in England, and it has expanded in Europe. So what is the meaning of this? What is this B&B? What's this? That's kind of B&B. ¿Por qué se llama esto B&B? ¿Que es un hotel que te da desayuno? It's not a hotel, really. It's not a hotel. Yes. So, B&B, aparte de ser cama y desayuno en el contexto del hotel, por ejemplo, B&B es un establecimiento alojativo aparte. So, for example, when you go on a holiday, you can go to a bungalow. You can go to a villa, if you like. You can go to a suite. You can go to an apartment. You can go to a hotel. You can go to a cottage, which is a house in the countryside, a cottage. Cottage, una casa rural. You can go to a hostel. Hostel, yes, or youth hostel. For example, this, the youth hostel, okay. Hostal, albergue, también, it depends, okay. Youth, juvenil, de juventud, youth hostel. Or you can go to a B&B. You can go to a B&B, a bed and breakfast. Bed and breakfast is also called guest house. A guest house, like this. For example, this, okay? Anderson's guest house on 3 rooms. Guest house is it's the same as B&B, bed and breakfast. Have you ever been to one of these places? Have you ever stayed in a bed and breakfast? It's very popular, especially in England, but now in any place. I mean, it has expanded to Italy, France, Canada, America, Spain as well. The other day, well, like in the summer, I saw a newspaper article, like an article about a bed and breakfast in Vegeta, for example. Un bed and breakfast que habían montado en Vegeta, en Las Palmas. Downtown, yes. And what is this idea of a guest house? ¿Y qué es esto de guest house o B&B? What's this? Casa de huéspedes. Really? Es casi como lo que en español sería una pensión, más o menos. More or less. Porque en inglés no hay palabra para decir pensión. Hay hostel, que es albergue, hostal, pero no existe el concepto de pensión. Pero es igual que en español no existe el concepto de B&B o de guest house. Se parece a pensión, más o menos, es como lo equiparable, aunque no son el mismo tipo de negocio. So, normally, who runs a guest house? Who is the manager of a guest house? Normally, yes, normally. Normally, a family is like a family business operated by the family. The family perhaps lives in one of the floors. Okay, for example, you can say, okay, the family lives here and this is for customers, for guests. Okay, and they prepare, there is a little kitchen, the bathroom is normally shared, and there is a kitchen and they offer you breakfast in the morning. So in a way, en parte la pensión se parece un poco, ¿no? Porque a veces las pensiones las lleva una familia, en un edificio, vive allí la familia, alquila habitaciones, hay que compartir el baño. So it's kind of similar. No es exactamente igual, pero es lo que más se le puede parecer a... Pero bueno, en español también se dice casa de huéspedes y es más o menos igual, ¿no? O guest house. Guest house significa literalmente casa de huéspedes, guests. ¿Y por qué se llama B&B, bed and breakfast? Pues porque la familia te da el desayuno. pero no significa vivir con una familia, el B&B. No es una cosa de larga estancia, es de corta, realmente. Have you ever stayed in a B&B? No? You have? In England or, yes? In Ireland, yes, in Ireland. I stayed in a B&B in Italy once, in Venice, en Venecia, me quedé en un B&B. And here, that's what por eso digo que es que se está volviendo súper popular ya en todo, sobre todo en grandes, a lo mejor aquí en Las Palmas pues hay uno, pero tú te vas a Madrid, te vas a Barcelona y ya hay un montón de B&B, como que han importado ese modelo de alojamiento de fuera. And, okay. So, lo que quiero decir es que bed and breakfast puede significar alojamiento de desayuno en el contexto de los regímenes del hotel, o también un establecimiento totalmente aparte, que es una casa de huéspedes, un tipo de alojamiento. That's it. Okay, so like 5 or 10 minutes more and then we go. Now we are going to look at this vocabulary. These pictures, what do they show? What is the pictures illustrate? What can you see in this picture? Like 2 little documents. What is this? Okay, it's not really a bill. A bill is more formal. Is it a ticket? It's not a ticket. In English, we don't say ticket. A ticket is a penalty. A ticket es una multa. Tickets. In America, I remember when I went to America, the bill es la cuenta, the bill, o la factura, the bill. Can I have the bill, please? You go to the receptionist. Please, the bill. You ask the waiter, the bill, please. La factura, la cuenta, the bill. And then you have things that this is something which is very, very important. In English, we have 3 words. We have the word bill, or in American English, check. That's American English. You go to a restaurant, can I have the check? The check is the bill. And then you have ticket, which is a penalty charge. For example, you can say, well, I parked illegally and I got a ticket. Okay. I remember when I went to, cuando yo estuve en San Diego viviendo, algunos amigos míos que eran hispanos me decían, me han tiqueteado por aparcar, por parquear con la... Me han tiqueteado por parquear en la cuesta, por aparcar con las ruedas rectas. Porque es que en las cuestas hay que aparcar con las ruedas así, torcidas. Pues si se rompe el freno de mano o lo que sea para que se desvíe el coche. No es una cosa muy rara en Estados Unidos. Entonces decían tiquetear. ¿Por qué? Porque en inglés se dice luego to ticket. The police ticketed me. The police ticketed me means the police gave me a penalty. Me multar es ticket. You can also go to a concert, you can also go to the cinema, to the opera, and you have to buy a ticket. You buy a ticket, la entrada. But it's not in a shop, you don't get a ticket. What you receive is a receipt. A receipt. What is a receipt? Is the written confirmation of the commercial transaction, recibo o ticket de compra, comprobante, whatever you want to call it. Okay? Como lo quieran llamar, pero en inglés no se dice tickets, es receipt. Receipt. The thing is has a receipt, for example, in English, we have the word receipt and we also have the word invoice. Invoice, what is an invoice? Invoice. Look, this is an invoice. Invoice. Factura. Bill. También, factura. Okay. Receipt. Is not really a bill. Well, I mean, what has fiscal validity? A receipt or a bill? Or an invoice? Well, now I think that everything is valid. I don't know. I'm not sure. But for example, I mean, what is this? This is in a shoe shop. Is this a bill, a receipt, an invoice? This is a receipt. A receipt. And what's this? From a restaurant? It's a receipt, but it's also a bill. So the word bill is flexible. In English, we have receipt and we have invoice. Receipt, invoice. Receipt, recibo. Invoice, factura. And then in the middle, we have bill. Bill can mean invoice in some situations. Bill can mean receipt in other situations. Bill is flexible. Receipt, recibo, invoice, factura. Ahora, la palabra bill está como en el medio. A veces significa recibo, a veces significa factura. For example, in the restaurant, if you ask for the bill, can I have the bill, waiter? What is the bill? A receipt or an invoice? A receipt. But if you go to the reception of the hotel and you ask for the bill, what is the bill? A receipt or an invoice? An invoice. So you see, so the word bill, depending on the situation, can mean one thing or the other. Is that clear? This is very important, okay? Especially for the type of thing that you're doing. Esta diferenciación en el vocabulario que ustedes necesitan para el ciclo es fundamental. Aunque bueno, yo sé que después el recibo, ya hoy los recibos me parece que son válidos también como factura o algo así, ¿no? No sé, lo habrán estudiado o lo estudiarán con Marcelo o con Néstor, ¿no? Que si el recibo pone el CIF o no sé qué, ya me parece que es válido como si fuera una factura. Pero bueno, esos son ya como a lo mejor datos, como que sobrepasa el vocabulario del inglés. These are more technical details, okay? So what you have to think is, receipt, el recibo, invoice, factura, y después bill, a veces una, a veces otra. Hotel bill, la factura del hotel. The restaurant bill, la cuenta del bar. O the bar bill, la cuenta del bar. Ahí la cuenta a lo mejor en papel. O sea, a mano incluso, ¿no? So that's the bill. Is this clear? Yes? Okay, so let's stop here. Vale, pues lo dejamos aquí. So, next week, I'm interested, para la semana que viene, lo que me interesa es que se lean el material de la unidad 3. La parte así de teoría, no tanto la gramática, ya es que no voy a poder hablar más, no tanto la gramática, que la gramática más o menos la saben, pero sobre todo el vocabulario. Tarda, al final abre, pero tarda. De todas formas, si alguno tarda un poco, si alguno de repente no se abre, mándeme un correo o lo que sea, o un mensaje al foro, un correo. Sí. Me voy a escribir al foro, pero bueno, si también me da por correo, a lo mejor es casi más rápido. A martin@sds.es. Alguno de repente en un momento, mira, no se me abre el listening o no tengo el manual, no me abre, pues yo se lo mando por email, no pasa nada. Entonces, lo que sí me interesa es que para la semana que viene, sobre todo lean Bueno, sí, la gramática es importante, pero sobre todo esta parte, la sección número 1, porque contiene todo el vocabulario que yo he introducido hoy. Hostel, B&B, all inclusive, todo lo que estamos viendo de, pues eso es fundamental, formas de pago en inglés, giro postal, cheque, transferencia bancaria, con cupones, efectivo, con divisa extranjera, contra reembolso, por transferencia periódica, por domiciliación bancaria, todo ese vocabulario en inglés para trabajarlo. Y entonces así ya la semana que viene tenemos que hacer el tema 3. Bueno, yo les abriré también el tema 4. A lo largo de esta semana les abriré el tema 4, que quizás es un poquito más sencillo que el 3. Porque se llama English for Traveling, inglés así para viajar. Porque la semana que viene tendremos que ver tema 3 y el 4. Y luego ya pasarán 2 semanas hasta el examen. Pero bueno, ya en esas 2 semanas, aunque no nos veamos, pues si tienen dudas o lo que sea, ya está todo el material abierto para estudiar y trabajarlo. Y si tienen dudas, pues me van preguntando por el foro, por email o como quieran, ¿vale? Okay, so thank you for coming and see you next week and good night.